Hi there, I'm Danielle Hargett, EVP's Field and Research Manager. I oversee our canvassing operations, so I thought it might be helpful to record a training of our canvassing best practices, some basics about our scripts, some tips on how to get organized with all the materials you'll be working with, and lastly, how to use MiniVAN. But before I get into the training, I want to briefly explain who you'll be talking with when you're canvassing. You'll be talking with environmentalists who are registered voters, but they're considered unlikely to vote according to the public voter file. Because they're unlikely to vote, we're often the only ones reaching out to these groups or to these people with election reminders because political candidates and other voter mobilization groups tend to focus their efforts and funding on people who turn out to the polls more consistently. If you've ever canvassed before, you know that not many people answer the door, but that's okay. As long as you leave the lit card with their name and election date written on it, the voter is still receiving crucial information. So to give you a general idea of what the day will look like when you are canvassing, you'll start by meeting up with your canvass leader and other volunteers at the designated location. After signing in, the leader will hand you a clipboard with the script, a volunteer sticker for you to wear, a Sharpie, and a stack of lit cards. Then they'll give you a unique list number to input into MiniVAN, which will give you your turf of voters to knock. So here is what the lit card or door hanger looks like. This is actually the Texas version, but they all have the same idea. You'll be using a Sharpie to write the election date on the line here, and then the voter's first name right here above Be a Good Voter. I don't know if it's easy for you to see. And note, it's just the first name, not the full name. So you can either use this hole here to hang it on the doorknob, or if it's a windy day, you can put it in the door jamb or somewhere else secure so that it doesn't blow away. So since you'll be juggling a few different things, I wanted to provide some quick tips on how to get organized. So first, you'll see I have my volunteer sticker on, so voters know who I'm affiliated with. And then your volunteer leader will hand you a stack of lit cards, typically banded with a rubber band, but I actually like to take off the rubber band, and then use a tote bag to place them in, and then I can easily access them one at a time as I go, and use the clipboard to write the election date on it and the voter's first name. So I've got my clipboard here with my script, my Sharpie in hand, my tote bag with the lit cards. And then for my phone, which is what you'll use MiniVAN on, it helps that I have a silicone phone case so that it kind of grips to the clipboard and I can just leave it there. But for people who don't have a silicone phone case, some people use a fanny pack to just place it in there when you're not using it and then easily access it as you go. So with this system, my hands are pretty free and I'm able to easily grab a lit card, write the voter's name on it, and the election day date on it, and just, keep my hands as free as possible so that it's just a little less stressful. So now onto the script. Your Canvas leader will get into the specifics when you meet up, but here are just a couple general rules to follow. You must stay on message. A reminder that we are a nonpartisan organization, so we cannot endorse candidates or propositions. So please refrain from giving your personal opinion when talking with voters. I recommend reading through the script before getting started. So after your volunteer leader leads you through the training, just take a couple minutes to look through the script, especially that first page, so that you know how to respond when someone says, yes, I'm planning on voting, or no, I don't have any plans to vote. I don't think so. Or maybe I don't really know. You just want to make sure you know how to respond in those conversations without looking face down. So just try to get comfortable with the language ahead of time. And it's okay if you need to refer to your notes for specific details like dates and deadlines. You'll see a box with quick facts at the top right corner. And that'll include details like when early voting is, when's the deadline to mail your to mail your ballot back, just so that it's easy to refer to things like that, those kind of details mid-conversation. Lastly, it's important to not only tell the voter about the upcoming election, but to also ask, can I count on you to vote? And it's also important that when they say yes, you say, that's great. It sounds like a lot of your neighbors are planning on voting as well. Research shows that using this kind of language can instill that social pressure to improve their voting behavior and follow through on their commitment. So some last general rules. If you see a no soliciting sign, you are welcome to knock anyway, because we're actually not selling anything. Or if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can choose to not knock, but still leave the lit card and then just mark them as not home in MiniVAN. Another important thing to remember, you want to avoid putting the lit card in mailboxes. It's actually illegal to do so. You must put it on the doorknob or somewhere else secure, just not the mailbox. So now we'll get into MiniVAN. You'll want to make sure that you have the app downloaded and an account created before you get to the Canvas. That way you're ready to input your unique list number when your Canvas leader gives it to you. All right, so after you input your list number, your turf should appear on the map and the households will all be marked by a white bubble with a number inside it, just like these here. You'll see here that these bubbles are all colored in, and that's because I've actually already canvassed the bottom half of this turf, but all uncanvassed houses will appear as the white bubbles with the numbers in it. And the number within the bubble means that that's how many of our targets or voters are living within that household. So to get started, you'll mostly be using the My List section of the app. And then when you're just getting started with the app, you'll be asked if you want to share your location with the app. And I recommend that you do, just because it'll make it easy to follow along with where you are on the map. I'm zooming out because I'm not actually in that neighborhood, but I'm up here, and that black dot is what you'll see as your location, which makes it really helpful as you're walking around your turf, just to see where you are, and it helps you to orient yourself. Okay, so the way I recommend you get started is by zooming into the house where you want to start walking. So you'll find your bubble, and then you'll walk up to that location, and then you'll click on the bubble. You'll see, okay, I'm going to 1001 East Riverside. So you'll walk up to the house, look for signage on the house just to confirm, okay, yes, this is 1001 East Riverside, and then you'll click on it to see who the voter is. So it's Dale, so I'm gonna write Dale on my lit card along with the election day date, and then I'm gonna go knock on the door, and hopefully he answers and he says, oh yes, I will vote. So you would just hit will vote, and then after every entry, you're gonna hit that cloud icon in the top right to save your work, just to make sure that it syncs and that we don't duplicate efforts. So say he doesn't answer, then you would hit I couldn't reach this contact, and you're going to be presented with a list of options here. So you'll mostly be using the not home entry. Sometimes you might hit moved if someone has moved and they no longer live there. But sometimes there might be a locked gate that blocks you from entering or from being able to knock on the front door. That would be inaccessible. Sometimes you might have people, if someone opens the door but you're not able to say any of your script, if they just close the door on you. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but that would be refused. Or maybe if they come to the door, they see you through the window, they don't even open the door, that would also be refused. And do not walk. You would only use that if someone explicitly tells you that they want to be removed from your list and they don't want you to ever come back again. Hopefully you don't have that. Our voters tend to be really nice, so I want to encourage you to not worry, but that would be the case for using do not walk. All right, so, and if one other thing I want to point out, if someone says that if someone has a question for you and you don't know the answer, then you would just go to the notes tab there, and then you would to add a note, to add their email or phone number and add the question that they have for you. And then again, always hit the cloud icon so that you save your work. And then, so after you save the information, you'll just go back a couple times until you get back to the map view. And then that would be, so say we had entered the information, that would be colored in. And then I would go to this house next, go just right down Riverside, and then just start the whole process over again. But I want to give you an example. I'm going to skip ahead to a house that has multiple multiple targets of ours. So I'll go to this bubble right here. It has 2 people in it. And then, so say I go to their house, I go through that process, and then someone opens the door. So I'll confirm which of these voters I'm talking with, and then say they say they'll vote. I would add I will vote, will vote. And then you'll have the option, you'll see this button, mark rest of household as not home. You would use that if you weren't able to have a conversation with them as well. Or if you are able to talk with both people, you would hit that next button, and then you would mark their answer as well. So going back here, that's basically it. I can also show you, let me mark that, let me clear that up. So the last thing I'll show you, if you want, you can check your progress by using this progress button down here. This will allow you to see how many houses you've knocked, how many conversations you've had, how many people have said they'll vote, just in case you're interested in checking throughout the day how many doors you have left or how many you've done. But again, last thing I want to remind you again, always hit the icon, the cloud icon in the top right corner just to save your work. So that's it. I know it seems like a lot, but I promise you'll get in a rhythm that works for you once you get going and feel comfortable after knocking on a couple doors. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you out for canvassing.